Congrats, you just won the lottery and now you are totally doomed. However, if you follow the step-by-step guide, you will not only be able to escape and survive the lottery, but you will be able to create generational wealth. What is up, sausages? It is Money Sausage. Today, we're going to be talking about what to do if you win the lottery, how to manage your money, how to escape the common pitfalls so you can become more wealthy. With that being said, here are some scary pitfalls and some, frankly, scary statistics. This is what actually happens to lottery winners. For example, one of the biggest pitfalls that lottery winners make is telling people. They go out and say, hey, I won the lottery. And this, frankly, makes them a huge target for unalivings and kidnappings, which is a scary, scary thing. So if you do win the lottery, make sure you don't tell anyone. And then, frankly, a lot of lottery winners just spend their money recklessly. Over 70% of lottery winners actually go bankrupt. They won the lottery. How are they going bankrupt? So I'm going to walk you through how to avoid that pitfall too. And frankly, a lot of lottery winners do things that they shouldn't be doing, such as getting arrested for driving while intoxicated. A lot of them actually see felony suits and criminal suits filed against them that they're gonna have to defend themselves against. So now overall, I'm gonna go through and teach you how to invest your money, what to do with them, but then as well as, how to avoid these pitfalls. And first, I'd like to address the first pitfall and how to avoid it. Most states actually allow for you to file anonymously. So do that. Don't let other people know that you won the lottery. Keep yourself safe. That way you won't become a victim of those things that I mentioned earlier. Set boundaries with what you're gonna spend money on. If you do win the lottery, hold off from claiming the ticket immediately. Go through the step processes. One of the first steps that I highly recommend is go to a national big law firm to start setting up trust. Now, what would you be investing in and what would you be doing to help that trust succeed? Well, let's go ahead and break that down. So if you're not aware, the lottery jackpot right now for Powerball is $1.5 billion. And that means that if you were to just take the lump sum, you would have an estimated cash value of $745 million. So what you can do is take some of your winnings and put it into that trust. And I'm going to break down exactly how big that trust can grow. And obviously talk to the lawyer and say, hey, what should I do and what should I be continuing to do to make sure that your money stays secure and you're staying safe. If you take the lump sum and you get the $745 million, Big Uncle Sam is going to take $373 million, which, yes, that's a lot of money. But with that being said, you're going to be left with $372 million that you're able to do with what you want. You can put a large majority of that into the trust if you don't trust yourself. Now, if you take $150 million of those winnings and you put it into the trust, and the trust then invests those winnings into high-yielding mutual funds, index funds, the S&P 500, NASDAQ, whatever you may want to invest in, just stuff that is broadly diversified, that is really good and consistent with returns. And all of those things that I just mentioned usually have a 7% return rate on top of what inflation is going to be. And inflation is usually sitting about 4%. So in total, they usually have about 11% returns. So what does that mean for you? It means you're not only saving yourself money because you're hedging against inflation, which basically means you're putting your money into an account and it's growing with inflation, and you're also making more passive income on top of that because it's continuing to grow that 7% on top of inflation. But with that being said, if you invest into those funds that have a usual 11% return like the NASDAQ or the S&P 500, in 5 years, that $150 million will be worth $252 million in just 5 years. Now in 10 years, it's going to be worth $425 million. Absolutely bonkers. Obviously, you can set guidelines and say, hey, we're going to pull out $2,000 every single month of the trust and put it into a college fund or whatever. That way you're helping your family have success in the future, but also keeping the money secure and locked up. Now, after 20 years, it will be worth $1.2 billion. Now, in 25 years, it will actually be worth $2 billion, which is more than the jackpot was. So if you just put $150 million from the winnings that you got when you pulled out the lump sum into a trust, that trust in 25 years would be then worth $2 billion. Now, if you are even more patient, and let's say you set a guideline that, hey, you won't start pulling money for 40 years from the trust. If you wait 40 years, that $150 million, it will be worth $9.75 billion, which is an absolute absorbent amount. And just to think, in 40 years, you can be worth over $9.75 billion. Now, with that being said, you're going to have left a lot of money still. So then what I would also recommend doing for yourself, that way you can have some money to spend for your living expenses and whatnot, is you put $100 million into dividend index fund. It allows for you, one, to hedge against inflation, two, it allows for you to make money off of the growth of the stock, and three, allows for you to have consistent dividend returns that not only are continually to be invested into the account, but you're allowed to live off of that percentage of the returns of that dividend. Now, if you were to invest that $100 million, and usually those kind of funds get around a 10% return. However, we're going to say that you're living off of 2% of that. The remaining 8% is going to work wonders for your wealth, and this is also going to be going to your personal net worth, not the trust. Now, with that being said, if you were to invest the $100 million into a dividend yield and you were to get 10%, but you live off of 2%, so you're only seeing 8% growth every single year, in 5 years, that's going to be worth $146 million. Now, in 10 years, that would be worth $215 million. And then in 20 years, it will be worth $466 million just by investing in an 8% yielding, and you're still living off of that $2 million every single year. Now, obviously, as the growth continues to happen and that index funds start seeing 8%, the 2% you're living off of is actually going to continue to grow as well. So it's going to go from 2 million and it's going to go all the way up. Now, if you were to wait 40 years, that money, that $100 million would then be worth $2.172 billion. So in 40 years, you would be worth over $11 million just by investing an initial amount of $250 million. Now, obviously, you still have a lot remaining from the $372 million that was left over after Big Uncle Sam took his money. So now what do you do with that? Well, frankly, I would then take another $100 million, which would then, after that, leave you with $22 million. I would then take that $100 million and put it into investment properties. And frankly, investment properties are a great return because it gives you a monthly income. So you could be living off of that, or you could be using that money to invest in more investment properties and just continually exponentially growing your wealth. And even putting the investment properties into another trust. That way, that money is secure in another realm and is completely separate from the other trust. So you have one trust for your family and another trust that grows for, maybe philanthropic events or whatnot. But with that being said, usually an apartment complex costs roughly $25,000 per unit to build. However, let's say you're building this massive apartment complex in a downtown area, and it's going to cost you $50,000. And that's what we're going to work with. We're going to work with $50,000. So that means if you invest $100 million, you're going to be able to build 2,000 units at the price of $50,000. So that means you're going to be having 2,000 units roughly producing income every single month. Now, with the breakdown of that, let's just say, average apartment rental right now is about $1.2K. So $1,200 or $1,200. And obviously that's a pretty good amount for every single unit. And if every single month from those 2,000 units, you'd be making $2.4 million, and that would be going into that trust for the investment properties. So that means your yearly income off of those investment properties would be $28.8 million. Meaning you could pretty much build in 4 years another huge apartment complex and just keep on doubling your money. And then obviously in 2 years after that, you can build another one, and then 1 year, and you can just start absolutely exponentially growing your wealth and that trust because of that investment property. So if you invest smart, you can do a lot of good things and really help out people around you and start having the seeds planted for generational wealth that won't only affect you, but affect many, many, many people down your family line. Now, with that $22 million that's left over, you can really do whatever you want. You could go and give that to your parents, but, anonymously, so they don't know that you won the lottery, or buy them, a new car. But don't spend that money absolutely recklessly. But also, what I would actually probably use that money for is to angel invest. And angel investing is pretty much the principle of one of your buddies or someone you know of is starting an entrepreneurship endeavor, going out and supporting them and putting money into their restaurant or whatever else they may see. Now, with that being said, if you angel invest and you're only seeing a 5% return on that money every single year, which is very, very, very low for angel investing. Usually you see your money doubled every year, roughly, but we're gonna say that you invest a lot of that money and a lot of them are hits and misses, and it just averages out to 5%. That $22 million that you use to angel invest, we're gonna say it has 5% returns on. And with that being said, after 5 years, that will be worth $28 million. And then in 10 years, that money would be worth $35 million. In 20 years, that money would be worth $58 million. And in 40 years, that money would be worth $154 million. So as you can see, if you take the time, you set up the principles, and you avoid the pitfalls by taking your time, if you find out you win, slow down. Don't instantly process that lottery winning ticket. Go and contact a big law firm to help you set up multiple trusts so that your money is secure, and that way you're held accountable and you're not just spending your money recklessly. So you're not becoming that 70% and you're not just a number that's tagged along with that 70% of people that go bankrupt after winning the lottery. File anonymously so you're not a victim of those heinous crimes that sometimes occur to lottery winners. And then obviously invest smartly and hold yourself accountable. Don't just recklessly spend your money, because you could actually impact the rest of your family and so many people around you, your local community, if you just spend your money wisely and invest it slowly. But obviously with investing it slowly and the returns that are coming back in with your winnings in 20 years, you're going to be worth well over $1 billion. In 40 years, you're going to be worth well over $20 billion. So with that being said, invest smartly, do everything right that is in this step-by-step guide, and that way you will be creating generational wealth and you will escape and survive the lottery. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a like and hit that subscribe button. It'd mean the world to me, and you would be donating to the scholarship fund, which I know means the world to them. And with that being said, it is the Money Sausage signing out. See ya!